this video, I'll show you step by step how to retopologize the body of your character. This is chapter 2 of the character retopology series. So without wasting any time, let's dive right into Blender. This is the character we are going to be using for the topology. If you want to download this character, the link is going to be in the description. I'm just going to hide the hair and the eyebrows so that those doesn't get in the way. And to get started with the topology of the body, let's plan out the main edge loops on the body. We are going to use the annotation tool for this. I'll make sure that the placement is set to surface. And now we can draw on the surface of our sculpt. The main edge loops that we are going to need on the body are this one right here, going from the shoulder into the armpits. And from under the armpits, it goes all the way back up to the shoulder. That's one edge loop. And then we want another one from the middle of the chest going over the shoulder, just like this. And then from the shoulder, it's going to go all the way to the back. And then we want another edge loop essentially for the arm of the character. So just one going around the arm of our character, just like this. Okay. And then the final one that we want is one going around the leg. So from the front of the leg all the way to the back of the leg. I need to connect just like this. All right. And that looks good. Now we can actually get started with retopology. To get started with the retopology, since these edge loops already look more like circles, we can start out with a circle. Shift A, mesh, I'm going to add in a circle. And the vertices on this, I'm going to keep them at 10. All right. Inside of edit mode, I'll go into the front view. And I'm going to rotate this 90 degrees. We can scale this down. And I'm going to move this one right here for this edge loop. I'm just going to move that into position right here. R and Z to move this into position. And we can scale it down a little bit. All right. This looks good for this edge loop. I'm going to duplicate this one. Shift D to duplicate it. And I'm going to rotate it. And I'm going to scale this one down for this edge loop right here. I'm just going to make sure to place that into position. So to actually turn this into edge loops, I'm just going to extrude this way. And I'll also select this one. And I'm going to extrude this way. All right, to see this a little bit better, I'm going to come up here to the mesh edit mode overlays. Under shading, I'm going to turn on Retopology. All right, the annotations are kind of getting in the way. I'm just going to change the settings. Under notes, I'm going to change the opacity to about 0.5. And I'm also going to uncheck in front. All right, now this looks good. Let's go ahead and let's extrude this edge that's going all the way to the back. I'm going to use the select tool. I'll select this edge right here. And then we can just extrude this to the middle of our character. I don't exactly know where the middle of the character is. So to see this or to know where it is, we can add in a mirror modifier. And then I'm going to choose the mirror object as a sculpt. We don't see the other half of the mirror modifier. To see that, we'll go down to the object properties. And then we are going to check wireframes right here to see that a little bit better. I'm going to turn on snapping to snap these faces to the surface of the sculpt. My snapping options are face project. And then I also have rotate and scale turned on. I'm going to move this to the middle of the character. And to make sure that this snaps at the center, we can turn on clipping. And then we can just pull that to the center. All right. Right here, this edge coming through this way. I'm going to select this edge and I'm going to extrude 5 pieces. So here's how I'm going to extrude them. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Right here. So we want to leave 1, 2, and 3 pieces untouched. And now right here, I'm going to select these two vertices M and merge them at center. You can also select this one M and merge at center right there. And now this edge, we can select it and it will go all the way to the back of our character. All right, that looks nice. We can add in 3 loop cuts in front here. Can also go ahead and add in 3 loop cuts right here. Now, let's actually make sure that these are being snapped to the surface of our sculpt. We can use the shrink wrap modifier for this. I'm going to add in a shrink wrap modifier, this one right here. and the target object is going to be our sculpt. And now to apply the shrink wrap in the edit mode, I'll go into object mode. I will duplicate the shrink wrap with Shift D and then Control E. I'm going to apply one of the shrink wraps. And now I'm going to apply the shrink wrap in edit mode. And I'll just make sure to adjust this so that it can look good. So I'm just going to adjust the position of these vertices to make the topology look a little bit nicer. All right. So something like this is going to work just fine. Let's go ahead and let's start filling in some of these faces. We can select this to F, create a new face here, and select this one F, and we're just going to keep on pressing F to fill in these faces. So F to keep on filling these faces, and right here we have been able to fill these faces. Let's fill in this part right here. You can select this one and F to also fill in these faces right here. All right, this looks good. I'm just going to adjust this a little bit more. Now let's go ahead and let's extrude out the back. We can select this one E, and we can extrude this out, and then we can select this to create a new face right there. We can also select these edges and we can extrude them down. We can select this vertex, press F to create a new face. If yours is not creating a chord, we just want to go up to Edit, Preferences, and then under add-ons search for F2. Make sure the F2 add-on is turned on, so that way if you select a vertex and press F, it's going to make a new face in the direction of your cursor. I'm also going to do the same here. I'm going to select this vertex and press F. I'm also going to select this vertex and press F right here. All right, and on this edge right here, you can select this one, and I'm just going to follow the edge under the chest just like this, and we can extrude this one all the way to the middle right here. This looks good. We can select this too, F to create a new piece right there, and we definitely need some more edge loops to make it conform to the shape of the sculpt. I'm going to Control R. I'm going to add in 3 loop cuts right there. It's just something that looks like this. And now to fill in this area, if the chest of your character is divided, you can select this and press E and S to scale this down, E and S to scale this down, and Control F, you can grid fill this in. If it gives you this kind of error, that just means the number of vertices you have is not even, and you can add in one right here and Control F and grid fill this in. I'm not going to do it that way because the chest is meshed together. So I'm just going to select this vertex right here, F to create a new piece, and I'll just keep on creating new pieces. Once I get here, F, and I'm going to create a new piece like so. I'm also going to come here, F to create a new piece, select this vertex, F to create a new piece, select this one, F to create a new piece, and then I can merge this together. And then I'm going to come up here, F to create a new piece, F to create a new piece, F to create a new piece right here, and then we can fill this in. And now we can just fill this in together. So we can press F to create a new face here. We're going to need a loop cut going towards the back, because if you fill this, we're going to end up with this triangle. So let's Control R to add in a loop cut going towards the back, and then F, and then we can fill this in. All right, this looks nice. Let's add in some more topology. I'm going to subdivide this armpit, Control R, and I'm going to subdivide right here. I'm also going to subdivide this loop that goes all the way from the front to the back of the character. And right here on the arms, I'm just going to add in loop cuts on all these empty spaces, just like this. So just going around the whole character and adding in loop cuts on all these empty spaces right here. And now we have more loop cuts that we can work with. I'm going to go into sculpt mode, and to relax our topology, we can use the relax slide brush. To find the relax slide brush, you can press Shift and Spacebar to bring up this search menu, and then just search for the relax brush, this one right here. Then you can hold down Shift and then just smooth out the topology just like this. All right, something that you need to keep in mind at this stage. So right now, if I select these edges right here, I can see I have 15 vertices. I'm going to switch to the head object, and on the head object, the number of vertices here are 14. So you want to make sure to keep this in mind. I'm just going to switch back to the Retopo object, this one right here. We have 15 here. So at the back, we can remove one of these edges here, Control X. And now we should have, if I select this, we should have 14. So it should be easy enough to connect these two together. So you just want to make sure to keep that in mind. All right, I'm going to select right here, and then you can keep on creating faces, keep on creating new faces. You can select this E to extrude this, and then we can create a new face right there. And now we can select all of these, and then we can extrude these ones down. Before we extrude them down, just make sure to turn off snapping, and then E, I'm going to extrude this down to right here. I'm going to scale this up a little bit, and S and Z, we can scale it on the Z axis by 0, and I'm just going to scale this up. All right, and I'll scale it down from the Y axis on the side, and now we can turn back on snapping. I'll go to the vertex selection mode, and I'm just going to make sure that these are snapped to the surface of the sculpt. You can toggle X-ray by using Alt Z, or you can just come up here to toggle X-ray, and I'm just going to adjust this, make sure this is snapped to the surface of the sculpt right here. All right, this looks good. Right here, I'm going to select 1, 2, and 3 edges, and I'm going to place them right here. So these ones are going to go all the way through here, and they're going to come out from the back. And we also want to make sure that it matches to 1, 2, and 3 edges right here at the back. So right here, I'm just going to place this way. And then these, I'm going to bring them closer to our annotation line, something more like this. All right, I'm going to select this one right here. So 1, 2, and 3 vertex. And then I'm going to extrude following the annotation line that we drew out. The number doesn't really matter for now. I'm just going to extrude this out following the annotation line that we drew out earlier. And right here, you can merge these two together. So you can select these two, F, and then we can create a new edge right there. Now we can select this vertex in the middle right here. And now we are going to want to follow the number that we extruded out earlier. So I'm going to extrude 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. You can select these two and F to fill them in together. And now we can select these two edges, F, to create a new face right there. And you can just keep on pressing F to fill this in together. And I think I've made a mistake somewhere right there. So I'm just going to Ctrl Z, and I'll make sure that these edges are not overlapping each other. If they are overlapping each other, I can press M and then merge them at center. And now that fixed the issue that we had there. Okay. Then we can just keep on filling this until we get right here. Okay. To connect these two down, we're going to need to add in 2 loop cuts. So just going to add in 2 loop cuts right here. Then we can select this F to fill this in. And then we can also fill that in. Then we can also fill in the fronts right here. All right, let's add in some more edge loops right here so that I can conform to the shape of our sculpt. Ctrl R, and I'll add in 5 loop cuts right there. Let's actually add in more than 5. I'm going to add in 7 loop cuts right there. And then let's duplicate and apply our shrink wrap modifier. And then we can use the deluxe diversion in sculpt mode to smooth this out. If some of the vertices behind your character are not in place, we can just go back into edit mode, select this, I'll turn off snapping, and I'll just move this back to the middle just like this. Okay, let's go back into sculpt mode, and I'm going to use the relax light brush, and I'm just going to smooth out the topology right here. And right here, we want to make sure that some of these edges are following the shape of our sculpt. So just going to do that, and then I'm just going to smooth out this. I'm going to duplicate the shrink wrap once again and Ctrl A to apply that. And now we can smooth this out easily. All right, something like this looks good. And now let's go ahead and we are going to extrude out the leg. Extruding out the leg is going to be very simple. Let's make sure to turn off snapping if it was turned on. And then we can extrude this down all the way to the base of the feet. And I'm going to scale this S, Z, and 0 right there. And I'll scale it and place it right here. From the side, I'll make sure this is also in place. I'll come in right here. I'll add in another loop cut, S, Z, and 0. I'm going to place that right here. And this is going to be for the knee of our character. We can add in some extra loop cuts right here. And we can just place this into place. And I'll just move this. And you want to make sure that your vertices don't clip in the middle. If they clip in the middle right here, you can uncheck clipping for a moment and just move that out. And then you can turn back on clipping. So something like this. and then you can go ahead and add in more loop cuts. I'm going to Control R, add in 3 loop cuts right here. Control R, I'll add in a couple more loop cuts. Control R, we can add in 7 right here. I can start to see how that snaps to the surface of our sculpt. The topology is looking a little bit weird. Let's go ahead, duplicate the shrink wrap and apply it. And then we can go ahead and just smooth out the topology. And I'm also noticing some weird shading on the topology. So I'm just going to go into edit mode. I'll select all and shift N to recalculate the normals on the topology. And I'm just using the relax slide brush to relax out the topology, making sure everything looks right, just like this. And I want to keep this a little bit more straighter, and holding down shift, I'm going to smooth out the topology right here. We'll come back to the legs to add extra topology to make this deform a little bit better, but for now this is going to be fine. Let's go ahead and let's do the exact same thing for the arms. I'll go into edit mode. I'll select these edges right here. I'll extrude them out, and then we can scale this down right here. I'm going to move it into place. I'll add in a loop cut right here for the elbow, and then you can add in extra loop cuts right here. Control R, I'm going to add in some additional loop cuts. Right, I'll go ahead, duplicate the shrink wrap and Control E to apply this. I'll go back into sculpt mode, and with the relax slide brush, we can relax our topology. Okay, now this is looking nice. Now let's go ahead and add in extra topology on the leg and also at the elbow to make sure that the arms are deforming properly. All right, in edit mode, I'm going to select these edges and I'm going to place them right here, just above the elbow of my sculpt. I'm going to turn on snapping, and I'll make sure that those are snapped to the surface of the sculpt. And Control B, I'm going to bevel this, and you're going to scroll up just once on your mouse wheel, just like this. And now we can select this vertex right here, GG, to slide it to this other vertex. Also the same thing here. I'm going to select this one, GG, slide it to this vertex. But remember that these vertex are still on top of each other. So to make them merge together, we can select all with A, M, and then we can merge it by distance. So it's going to merge the ones that are closest to each other. And it only removed one. It didn't remove this other one. So we can just select these two and then N, merge at center. Right now we have a triangle right here. We don't want that triangle. We can select this edge right here and Control X to dissolve that edge. We can select this edge, Control X to dissolve that edge. And now we have quads. I'm going to go into sculpt mode, and I'll use the relax slide brush to smooth out the topology at the back of the elbow. And just like this, we have an elbow that's going to deform properly. Let's go ahead and do the same thing on the legs. For the legs, it's going to be a little bit different. So the knees are kind of curved on mine. So I'm going to go into edit mode, and I'm just going to shift this up a little bit, something that looks like this. Okay, and then I can select this, Control B to bevel this out. Then we can select this vertex, GG, to slide this into here. Also select this one, GG, to slide this into here. E to select all, and M to merge by distance. And now we can select this edge. We don't want triangles. We can select this edge, select this one, Control X to dissolve them. Then I can also select this one and turn off snapping, and GG, we can move this up right here. Okay, this looks good. Let's add in an extra loop cut here so that doesn't stretch in too much. I can also select this one, GG, and I'm going to move it up right there. I'll go back into sculpt mode, and I'll just use the relax slide brush to help smooth out the topology around that area. And I'll just make sure that that conforms with the shape of our sculpt, so something more like this. And I'm just going to hold down shift, and I'm going to smooth out the topology around the leg. And this looks good for the topology around the leg. Now the final thing that we're going to do for the body is just to go ahead, merge the body with the head. So we can select the body, select the head, Control G to join this together. Since they had the same modifiers, everything should work just fine. Now we can go into edit mode. We can select these ones, F to create a new piece, and then we can select this one. We can just keep on creating new faces until we get all the way to the back right here. All right, that looks nice. Let's add in some extra loop posts right here. I'm going to add in 3, and that looks good. I'm going to duplicate and apply the shrink wrap modifier. Let's go into sculpt mode using the relax light brush. Let's just relax out the topology around the neck. And now we have something that looks like this for the body. And so it's really easy to retopologize the body of our character. In the next chapter, I'll show you how to retopologize the hands and the feet for your character. So I'll see you guys in the next one.